Hey folks, what's happening today? It's Friday. I believe it's the 20th of October. Smoking some Old Joe Krantz in my Blakemore Briar. Had a little rain last night. So we're getting a little wind today. Haven't been around in a while because I haven't been feeling too well. You may hear me sniffing and see my eyes watering, and I think I look crazy or stoned or something. Had some kind of allergic reaction to something. I have no idea what, but it has literally kicked my butt for the last 3 days. I woke up Tuesday, my eyes were just on fire. I mean, painfully hurting. I finally got some allergy medicine last night. Today they're still watery, but they're not hurting like they were. So, now that the health update's over with, I'm going to do a top 10 Friday. Haven't done one of those in a while. Top 5 Friday, top 10 Friday, top 15 Friday today. I can count. I just can't settle on what I want to count. So let me open up my little book here. Notice I'm wearing red, R-E-D, remember everyone deployed. It's Red Friday. Forget those guys and gals and others. So, we're going to do some songs today. These are going to be the top 7 black songs and the top 7 white songs, and one bonus. I'm not talking racial. I'm talking black and white. So let's go back and forth with them. I'll do a black one, then a white one. These are top 7, and I know I'm leaving out some good songs here. Trust me. It was hard to decide on some of these. I left a couple of my favorite songs out to include some other ones. So anyway, here we go. Black songs. Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. It's a great song off a great album by a great band. I miss Chris Cornell so much. He had so much talent. White song. Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues. It's just a great epic song. Puts you in a mood. I mean, an unbelievable mood. I remember the first time I ever heard that when it wasn't just on the radio somewhere, when I actually sat and listened to it. With headphones on, as a matter of fact. And man, what a trip. Just a great song. Very underrated band too. Back to black. Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones. Probably one of the one of the songs that just kind of epitomizes their sound. Uh, Great guitar, great vocals, great melody, energy, anger. It's a great song. Number 2, Dirty White Boy by Foreigner. I bought that album off Columbia House Record and Tape Club. It was one of the first Foreigner albums I bought. And it didn't disappoint. It's a great album. It's a great band, man. They were underrated. Their first 4 albums were just killer rock and roll albums. Just absolutely killer. And then they just kind of fell apart. I don't know. They kind of lost their direction or something. Or couldn't agree on their direction. But anyway, number 3 on the Blacklist. This is one of my favorite songs by this band. I've lost many, many hearing cells because of this song. Fade to Black by Metallica. Just an ultimate angsty, depressing killer song. It's a song about, depending on how you interpret it, a song about somebody either dying or killing themselves. There's in that grand tradition of the old Metallica epic build-up songs, like a 7-minute song. It's just fantastic. One of my favorite solos by Kirk Hammett. Killer. Number 3, White Room by Cream. Another great song by another great band. Eric Clapton's guitar sound on that song is just magical. It's just fantastic. Just raw, heavy, martially cranking, kick it. Nasty sound. Jack Bruce singing. Number 4, on the other side, one of the greatest riffs in rock and roll history, Black Dog by Led Zeppelin. As soon as you hear that opening wind up to that song, you don't even have to hear the riff and you know what song it is. Don't know how they came up with the title Black Dog, but there it is. Robert Plant still had a little bit of his vocal cords left at that point. But not much. But it's a great song. Black Dog. It's got that groovy ass backbeat by Bonham. That just killer beat. Number 4, on the other side, we've got White Riot by The Clash. It's early Clash that just in your face epitomizes the sound of The Clash. Love The Clash. Love that band. I didn't get into them until a little later, 1982. But when I got into them, I went backwards instead of forwards with them. Dug through all their stuff, and they got some great stuff, man. That band got me into the whole punk movement and the whole all those great bands like Clash, Ramones, Sex Pistols. A lot of other stuff, but those three bands are really what kind of directed me towards that kind of music. And I had some friends that were really into it, so I was constantly borrowing cassette tapes and stuff from people, and they had some great stuff. Back up top, Back in Black by AC/DC. Say what you want to about AC/DC, but that album and that song are probably the absolute standard for great comeback albums. They lost their lead singer and they came back with this, and it was just like, man, I mean, it was a monster album. Just raw AC/DC at their finest. Next one's one that probably a lot of people haven't heard of. White Mountain by Genesis, back in the Peter Gabriel days, off of an album called Trespass. My favorite Genesis is when Peter Gabriel and Steve Hackett were still with them. When they were a 5-piece band, man, they were unbelievable. They were the coolest art rock band ever. Unrivaled. They had some really, really good stuff, and that song is a good example of it. Now, pretty much the antithesis of Genesis, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath from their first album. Hello World. Something new is occurring. That album changed so much. People were like, I don't even know how to describe it. Something completely different than had ever been done. A sound that was something completely different. Feeling, topics, everything about Black Sabbath on that first album was just completely brand new, and at the same time felt ancient. It felt like this music had been around forever. That's the feeling I get from it. And that song is a great example of that. Back on the other side of the coin, White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. Probably one of the weirdest songs ever. I'm sure a bunch of hippies in San Francisco have no memory of what they were doing the first time they ever heard that song. They can probably tell you what they were doing, but not what they did afterwards. You know what I mean? Back up top, the 7th one on this list, something different. And I scratched off 3 or 4 songs and included this one because it's just such a great song. Black Velvet by Alana Miles. That song's got a feeling and a sound, and her vocals and just everything about it is good. It's just a great song. Kind of a tribute to Elvis, not kind of a tribute, a direct tribute to Elvis. Really, really good. I don't know whatever happened to her, I just lost touch or whatever, but she had a great voice. Now another one that a lot of people probably haven't heard of. This is part of a little trilogy. The song I've got is White Rider. It's part of a trilogy called Nimrodel, The Procession, and White Rider by a band called Camel. Those of you who know Camel know what I'm talking about. Those of you who don't know Camel probably would never listen to them if you heard them the first time. It's one of those bands that you either know them and you're a fan of them, or you never will be, with a few exceptions. They were kind of in the vein of Genesis and Moody Blues, and Pink Floyd, and Giant, King Crimson. all that kind of stuff. They were a great band, and they got some really cool albums. Camel. Trying to think of the name of the album it's off of. I believe it's Mirage. I believe it's called Mirage. It's the one with the pack of Camel cigarettes on the album cover. And as a bonus to bring it all together, to make it harmonious, Black and White by Three Dog Night. The ink is black, the page is white. Together we learn to read and write. That's another great band, great vocal band. They got some really good music, had some really good music. I actually knew one of the guitar players for a brief moment in history. I still know him. I haven't talked to him in years, but his name was Paul Kingery. He was one of the guys I roadied for back in the day. And after that tour, he hooked up with Three Dog Night, and they made him a member of the band. He played with them for, I don't know, probably about 15 years before they broke up, when the second singer died. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. And that song's Black and White. It's kind of about racial harmony, if you listen to the words of it. Good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to cut this one off. 17 minutes and 23 seconds. At least at the point when I said that. It's weird how numbers, at least in my head, stick with you. 1723. That's how much a 16-inch Better Boy pizza cost at Mater's Pizza, where I worked in high school. That's been 30 something years ago. Don't know why I'll remember that, but I always will. So anyway, go have yourself a pizza, listen to some good music, and be cool. Talk to you soon.